Some weeks ago, Trump and Biden had a massive debate that really did not go well for Biden, and today, at the time of me recording this, an assassination attempt has just been made on Donald Trump. While some people might dismiss the significance of these events, the public perception of them is likely to contribute very considerably to the outcome of the 2024 election. For the very first time, it seems the Democrats on a massive scale have lost confidence in Biden's ability to lead. With so many calls for Biden to step down, with many genuinely believing that he is not fit to assume the presidential role, this is showing massive cracks in the Democrat facade. On the side of the Democrats, there was very little arguing that Trump was any worse off cognitively than Biden was. Rather, the attacks toward Trump were primarily focused on him lying or dodging questions, that sort of thing. But it was very evident that most people don't feel that Biden is in a proper state of mind. What I think is especially important is the avenue in which this was broadcast. This debate gained millions of views on YouTube alone, and we can assume that a good chunk of that viewer base is probably on the younger side. Maybe not first-time voters, but certainly a good number of first-time voters. But we're talking younger generations, people who actually do use YouTube on a regular basis as opposed to perhaps watching this on television. While some of those older generations may not have been too fazed or concerned with Biden's cognitive state, a lot of younger people have been voicing their concerns both on the left and the right. We are watching this play out live across the internet, both from the left and the right, and arguably from the left especially, with this sense of panic that one, Biden is not going to be able to defeat Trump if this is how he's performing. Two, if Biden wins, he's just going to die in office and be succeeded by his vice president. Three, if Biden wins and stays alive in office long enough, he may make some major mistakes because he's not in the right cognitive state. Biden's position among younger Democrats is already shaky, whether it's on his support for Israel, his failure to forgive student loan debt. Although in all fairness, he has been trying to tackle that, and this may be his strategy to reach out to younger generations and maintain them as a voting base. There's also simply the fact that aside from policy, many young people just don't like how old Biden is. They feel that because he's so much older, because he's so much more well-established, he's disconnected from the needs of the younger generation, people who are just starting to get their start in life. And you have to imagine that with a potential reinstatement of the draft and these potential wars in Ukraine, in Israel, and potentially in Taiwan, a lot of the younger people are afraid of electing somebody who may escalate these wars. Supporting Israel is already a very shaky matter for a lot of younger Democrats. Most young Democrats generally take the side of Palestine, but to then say, okay, not only is this going to be going on, but we're sending you to go fight on the side of Israel right now, that's really not going to be a winning position for Biden when it comes to younger people. That debate really went a long way for a lot of Americans in highlighting just how old and frail Biden is as a person. The idea that, yeah, genuinely he may be too old for this role. And many people would say as well, Trump is fairly old as well. But comparatively on stage, Trump was far more energetic, Trump was far more lively. He seemed like he still had years ahead of him, while Biden seemed like he was just barely clinging on. That may be in bad taste to say, but it's the plain truth. Biden does not look like he's in a position to be a national leader. Now, I for a long time was skeptical of Trump's chances this time around, just because it really seemed that there wasn't any early preparations being made, and it seemed very possible that we would have had a repeat of 2022 in the midterms when we believed there was going to be this massive red wave. What wound up happening is conservative turnout just wasn't what people expected, and the Democrats turned out in far greater force. The Democrats are very well mobilized this year, and they're going to do whatever they can to try to win the election, but the dwindling faith in Biden is showing some cracks in that. If the Republicans can match that same activism, that same turnout, the Republicans could have a very good chance this year. The assassination attempt on Trump as well, that's going to go a long way to building sympathy. It sort of evokes the thoughts of when Bolsonaro was stabbed during his campaigning. Public image goes a long way, and while some people don't like that character and attitude, there is sympathy that can be built from the story of him almost being assassinated, and a lot of these pictures that are circulating around, that imagery is powerful, and people are very emotional. People are moved by this sort of thing. This, even if it's not going to, swing the Democrats in his favor, it is going to move some voters who might not have turned out otherwise, or may have been on the fence as well. I would say, as things are between Trump and Biden, right now, Trump's chances of beating Biden look better than they have probably ever. But does that mean Trump is going to win? Well, things are not so simple this election. It's not just Trump and Biden, we also have some third-party candidates. The chief candidate in question is RFK Jr. There's been a lot of debate as to, who is RFK Jr. going to steal more votes from? Clearly he's going to be a significant contender. He might get as much as 10% of the vote, possibly somewhere in the 5 to 10% range. While that's not going to be anywhere near enough to win the election, it is a significant amount that can spoil the election for either Trump or Biden. Now, many people have argued that Kennedy is going to split the vote down the middle 50-50 because Kennedy is a Democrat. However, there's some complexity to this. On the policy that Kennedy argues, there is very little overlap with his policies and Biden's policies. There is, however, significant overlap between his policies and Trump's policies. While RFK Jr. hasn't taken Trump's side insofar as the outcome of the 2020 election or January 6th, he has challenged the Democrats on their position, which has led many on the right specifically to consider him a moderate. RFK's economic policies are meant to appeal to the same blue-collar workers that Trump attempts to appeal to, a staunch non-interventionist position when it comes to foreign war, and while this might have earned him some support from anti-war Democrats, especially those who support Palestine, he has explicitly taken a pro-Israel position while criticizing Palestine. While he has referred to himself as being pro-gun control, he's also made significant appeals to the Second Amendment community. He's spoken about how gun ownership is a constitutional right, and just generally trying to appeal to the conservative population and say, look, I may believe in gun control, but that doesn't mean I'm going to take your guns away. Kennedy has argued in favor of a stronger border, even supporting Texas when the Texans had that long dispute with Biden over border security. And of course, RFK is highly critical of vaccinations. None of these positions are really held anywhere by the Democratic Party. These are all strongly Republican positions. The idea that RFK Jr. is going to steal more votes from Biden, or even an equal amount of votes, is laughable. Just because Kennedy is in favor of the LGBT community and in favor of health care for everybody, it doesn't mean he's going to steal a massive swath of the Democratic vote. Realistically, I could see Kennedy stealing 1 Democratic vote for every 3 Republican votes. That ratio is very significant. RFK Jr. has already secured access to the ballots in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Georgia, in Florida, in Texas. He has many of the states that Trump needs to win. If RFK Jr. steals anywhere from 3% to even 6% or more of the vote in these states from Donald Trump, that is going to give these states to Biden. There's other minor parties and other minor players. Of course, the Libertarian Party can be expected to take a few votes away from the more conservative faction, but that's sort of typical of prior elections. The Green Party, of course, will steal some votes away from the Democratic side, but again, not a significant quantity. Cornel West is in the race as well, but he's unlikely to gain a significant amount of votes from this election, which, again, he would be taking votes from Biden, but it's not going to be in any significant quantity. A lot of this election is going to hinge on how much of a turnout, how many votes RFK Jr. can steal. If he turns out to be a significant force in this election, it's very likely the election is going to go to Joe Biden. If RFK Jr. turns out to be a minor player and doesn't even crack 3% of the vote, this is still Trump's election to win. As I said before, Trump's chances for victory look better than they have in a very long time, but the election isn't his just yet. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. This has been Mr. Z. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more. Mr. Z, out.